This programme is brought to you by Macquarie and Ansett, the official airline of the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games.
Good morning again. I'm Jim Waley. Welcome to Sunday. The relationship between Pauline Hanson and the media soured even further this week when she had a reporter and photographer thrown out of a press conference in her electorate office. Her reason? Their newspaper was biased against her. There's little doubt many in the media are biased against Pauline Hanson and her One Nation party. But demonising her and ridiculing her ideas has backfired. In trying to bury Hanson, the media have raised her. They've fuelled the belief among her supporters that the champion of the underdog is not getting a fair go and won her sympathy and votes. Have the media shot themselves in the foot over Pauline Hanson? That's our cover story this Sunday.
At this press conference to launch her immigration policy last week, the hatred in the room born towards the independent member for Oxley from many here was palpable.
Discriminatory policy.
Almost had a smile on your face. Was there the thought going through your mind that all this is doing is playing to Pauline Hanson's natural constituency?
Oh, to a degree, but mostly what I was thinking was that I thought the public would enjoy seeing journalists the way they think journalists are.
And ordinary people were saying, well, wait a minute, she's raising issues that we would like raised, and she's getting bucketed by this cappuccino ghetto, these little cappuccino quaffing journalists who were sneering at the working class Australian.
The media's fatal attraction for Pauline Hanson. Our cover story to be reported by Ross Coulthard. With a plan to sell off the remaining two-thirds of Telstra now in tatters following last night's dramatic turnaround by Senator Mal Colston, we'll talk to Finance Minister John Fahey about where the government goes from here. And we'll be profiling an 81-year-old artist who's giving us a fresh look at our landscape, Rosalie Gascoigne.
She doesn't just look at the landscape. Gascoigne picks it up and dumps it in the back of a car. How do you go when you're out fossicking and you see a piece of material you really want, but it's on private property?
Well, I look at the fences. If the fences are poor, I feel quite bold. But if they're well fenced in, I've got to want it very badly to go and get it. And I have been bailed up on properties. They say, manners to ask.
The unusual art of Rosalie Gascoigne a little later. Peter Thompson will be reviewing a Canadian film called The Sweet Hereafter. And of course, we'll be reviewing the week's news. But we'll begin with the news of this Sunday, the 12th of July. And the federal government says it will press ahead with plans to sell off the remains of Telstra, despite last night's rejection of its proposal in the Senate. Maverick Senator Mal Colston effectively decided the issue, voting with Labor to retain Canberra's stake in the communications giant.
It was the first time the renegade Queensland senator had spoken publicly on the Telstra sale, and in one sentence he rocked the government to the core.
At this stage, I am unable to support the bill and will thus be voting against it.
Despite repeated accusations from Labor that Senator Colston had done a sleazy deal with Prime Minister Howard to sell the communications giant, the former Labor senator said he had too many concerns to give the bill a tick.
One of my concerns is the standard of telecommunication services in Queensland, especially in rural and regional areas. I'm also concerned about stable employment opportunities for Telstra workers.
Hours later, Senator Colston tied the vote, effectively defeating the sale legislation.
There being 33 ayes and 33 noes, the motion is resolved in the negative.
With the government in shock, Labor emerged to claim victory.
What John Howard has tried to achieve has turned to ashes tonight, and we are delighted with the result.
But not delighted enough to welcome the defector back into the fold.
Absolutely not. Senator Colston ratted on the Labor Party. He is a Labor rat.
Strategically, the Prime Minister's re-election plan is hinged on using the proceeds from the Telstra sale to win back Bush voters who have abandoned the coalition for One Nation. But that plan is now in ruins. David Turnbull, National 9 News.
But although the Senate rejected the Telstra plan, it agreed to a move which will allow Australians to buy cheaper imported CDs. The controversial Copyright Amendment Bill, which has angered the local music industry, was passed into law early this morning. The crisis has worsened in Northern Ireland following the collapse of talks over the threatened Orange Order march in Drumcree. Security forces are bracing themselves for more violence after coming under fire from Protestant extremists overnight.
To no one's surprise, it's unlikely there will be a resolution of Drumcree this weekend. As the talks in Armagh staggered on this evening, the view as ever is of two communities who refuse to see further than the end of their own demands. As the Orangemen gathered at Drumcree Parish Church awaiting news, the army continued its surveillance flights over the fields, where last night, according to the RUC, loyalist gunmen tried to kill a policeman. This police video shows a masked gunman crouching and taking aim and firing at officers across the lines.
I can only hope that those who would claim to have control of this situation will stop it, because someone is going to be killed. Of that there is no doubt.
An independent team of pathologists has confirmed that Nigerian opposition leader Moshood Abiola did die of natural causes. As thousands gathered in Lagos for his funeral, the pathologists reported that his sudden collapse and death was caused by long-standing heart disease. A high cholesterol level was noted. In World Cup soccer, Croatia has won the playoff for third place in Paris this morning. The Croatians beat the Netherlands 2-1, with all three goals scored in the first half. The final between Brazil and host nation France will be played tomorrow morning. In rugby union, Australia has beaten New Zealand 24 points to 16 in the first Bledisloe Cup test at the MCG. Wallaby fullback Matthew Burke scored all of Australia's points for a world record total against the All Blacks.
Here's a chance! Matthew Burke! Straight through the middle!
And in National Rugby League, Penrith has scored an upset win over Sydney City, beating the Roosters at home 24-18. Balmain crushed North Queensland 18-0. Next, Nigeria's agony, Hong Kong's white elephant, and a cowboy rides into the sunset when we review the week's news after this.